The Younger Dryas begins 12,800 years ago with a cataclysm, with a puzzling, mysterious rise in sea level at the same point, 1,000 years of freezing temperatures, mass extinctions of animal species all over the world, and then 11,600 years ago, global temperature shoots up.
A comet fell from the sky. An entire civilization vanished with it.
There was a series, not just one impact, but multiple impacts all over the Earth around 12,800 years ago that caused this cataclysm.
And scientists found the evidence to prove it buried across 4 continents.
For evidence of this possible comet. These include things like microspirals, elevated platinum, iridium, osmium. These are elements that are common in comets and asteroids but are rare in the Earth's crust.
All pointing back to the same catastrophic moment in history. Graham Hancock says this was never just an ancient story. That same debris field still crosses Earth's path every single year.
Great advanced civilization that once existed, but that angered the gods and was destroyed in an enormous flood.
And 2036 is closer than most people realize. So what exactly happened that day, and why does it matter right now? We have all heard of the Younger Dryas, and if you have not, let me tell you, it was basically a civilization that was destroyed by a sudden temperature shift. For a long time, that was the accepted story. Scientists believed it was simply a climate event, but Graham Hancock said, that explanation is wrong. I was shocked when I first heard that. So, let me tell you exactly what happened. 12,800 years ago, life was blooming across every corner of the planet. Then, in a single moment, everything changed. Temperatures collapsed by 10 degrees within a year. Entire species vanished. An entire human culture in North America disappeared from the archaeological record almost overnight. A 1,200-year freeze locked the entire planet in ice. For a very long time, what caused this remained one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Then scientists started finding something extraordinary in the soil. In 2024, a peer-reviewed study confirmed the presence of platinum, microspherules, melt glass, and shock-fractured quartz, materials produced exclusively by a massive cosmic explosion at over 50 sites across 4 continents: North America, South America, Europe, Asia, all dated to the exact same moment in geological history. The same cosmic fingerprint found everywhere scientists looked. The conclusion was clear. A fragmented comet entered Earth's atmosphere and exploded in multiple simultaneous airbursts across the northern hemisphere. Think of the 1908 Tunguska explosion in Siberia, a single airburst that flattened 80 million trees, then multiply that energy by thousands, happening simultaneously. Across the entire northern hemisphere, over 63 scientists from 55 universities across 16 countries now support this. The evidence is peer-reviewed and written into the geological record of every continent on Earth. But then, Graham Hancock takes this further than anyone else. What was actually living on Earth when that comet arrived? Modern humans had existed for over 200,000 years before this moment. Mainstream history tells us civilization began around 5,000 years ago. That leaves a 295,000-year stretch of human existence without explanation. Hancock says, humanity was far more advanced than we have been taught. Something was building, and the comet impact erased almost all physical trace of it. The survivors carried their knowledge forward and moved across the world. Shortly after, Egypt emerged. Mesopotamia appeared. Agriculture, astronomy, and monumental architecture arrived across multiple cultures almost simultaneously, as if knowledge had been passed down rather than slowly invented from scratch. That is the lost civilization Hancock is pointing to. And the debris field from that same comet still exists today, crossing Earth's orbital path every single year. In 2025, scientists at the University of New Mexico published research warning that in 2032 and 2036, Earth will pass through the densest region of that same stream. The sky fell once before, and the evidence says it is absolutely worth paying attention to what is above us right now. So the question is, how do we actually know any of it is real? A comet impact 12,800 years ago sounds like exactly the kind of claim that's easy to make and impossible to prove. The comet didn't just disappear into history. It left something behind. And what it left behind is honestly what makes this story so hard to dismiss. All around the world, buried in the soil at exactly the same depth, scientists kept finding materials that raised questions, things that defied every natural explanation they had. Tiny iron spherules, nanodiamonds smaller than a virus, shocked quartz grains that had been crushed under pressure so extreme it's almost difficult to picture. Imagine the weight of 75 elephants pressing down onto something the size of a sesame seed. That's the kind of force required to produce what they were finding. And you don't get that from a volcano. You don't get it from a flood. The only process on Earth capable of producing all of these things together, in the same layer, at the same moment in time, is a cosmic impact. But the detail that really stayed with me was the platinum. Deep inside ice cores drilled from Greenland, scientists kept finding unusually high concentrations of it, sitting right there in a specific layer of ancient ice dated to 12,800 years ago. Platinum is extraordinarily rare in Earth's crust. You almost never find it just naturally elevated like that. But you do find it in comets. So there it was, just platinum, resting in the ice at exactly the right depth and moment in time. Almost like the comet had signed its name. And then there's Abu Huraira. It's a site in Syria, an ancient settlement, ordinary people, living ordinary lives. And buried inside its ruins, scientists found something that stopped them completely. Evidence of temperatures so extreme that the ground itself had transformed into glass. The heat in that single moment, lasting barely a fraction of a second, had surpassed even the surface of the sun. The same evidence kept appearing wherever researchers were willing to look closely enough. Chile, Michigan, Belgium, Antarctica, all carrying the same quiet story in their soil. The comet never left a single clean crater. What it left was something far stranger, its fingerprints, pressed simultaneously into the ground of an entire planet. And the question that follows naturally from all of that is a simple one. What was actually living here when it hit? We're all taught basically the same version of history. Humans evolved, wandered around for thousands of years, hunted animals, gathered food, kept moving. Then, almost as if a switch flipped, civilization just appeared. Writing, agriculture, cities, monumental architecture. All of it suddenly there. And for most of my life, I accepted that without really questioning it. But there's a problem with that story. A pretty significant one. Modern humans have been around for a very long time. Long enough to make you wonder, what exactly were people doing during all those hundreds of thousands of years before civilization supposedly began? Mainstream history gives a very brief answer. Surviving. Primitive. Move on. That answer has always been a little too convenient. Because then you find something like Göbekli Tepe. It's a site in southern Turkey, discovered in the 1990s. Massive carved stone pillars, sophisticated astronomical alignments, built deliberately into its structure. And it's older than the Egyptian pyramids by 7,000 years. Older than everything we were ever taught to consider the starting point of organized human achievement. Nobody accidentally builds something like that. Whoever constructed Göbekli Tepe had been accumulating knowledge, refining it, passing it down, for a very long time before that site ever existed. That is a civilization doing exactly what civilizations do. Which leads to a question that is genuinely difficult to walk away from. If people were already this sophisticated before the comet arrived, what had they built in the thousands of years leading up to that moment? What existed that history has simply lost track of? Hancock is careful and measured about this. What he points to is something grounded, and in many ways more compelling than science fiction. A seafaring, astronomically literate culture that had been quietly building knowledge and capability for thousands of years. And then the comet arrived, and almost everything they had achieved went with it. The reason we have so little trace of them is actually straightforward. Wood decays, fabric breaks down, organic material dissolves over 13,000 years. What they built with their hands returned to the earth long ago. What survived was carved in stone. What did survive was carved into stone, encoded in the night sky, passed down through the people who lived through it. And where those survivors went next, that's where the story gets really interesting. But before we get there, I want to take a moment here, because what this event took from the world deserves to really land. This was a planetary event, one that fundamentally rewrote the living world so completely and so suddenly that, in geological terms, it happened in the blink of an eye. Let's start with the animals, because this is where the evidence becomes almost overwhelming. North America before the impact was a completely different world. Mammoths, mastodons, native horses, camels, giant sloths, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and then silence. Every single one of them gone within what scientists describe as a geological instant. Scientists came up with explanations. Maybe the climate shifted, maybe early humans hunted them out, but none of those answers ever truly held up. A catastrophic cosmic impact bringing fire, darkness, and ecosystem collapse all at once brings every piece of evidence together in a single coherent moment. And that is precisely what Hancock has been pointing to all along. And the animals were only part of the story. The human cost is something that takes a moment to fully absorb. Evidence from across North America shows that approximately 2/3 of the human population simply vanished from the archaeological record around this time. 11 flint quarries, the equivalent of ancient hardware stores that every culture in the region depended on, were completely abandoned, left behind, silent, and they stayed that way for nearly 700 years. 700 years of silence in the archaeological record. Let that settle for a moment. Entire communities, entire ways of life, here one day and gone the next. Some people made it through, though. Some people survived, and what they did next is one of the most extraordinary chapters in all of human history. Here is something that mainstream history has never satisfactorily explained. After the Younger Dryas ended, around 11,600 years ago, something remarkable happened. Across the world, in places completely isolated from each other, complex civilizations began appearing at roughly the same time. Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, ancient China, cultures separated by thousands of miles of ocean and land, all suddenly displaying sophisticated agriculture, advanced astronomy, monumental architecture, and complex social organization at roughly the same time. The conventional explanation is that this was simply convergent development. Humans in different places independently figured out the same things around the same time. A coincidence of human progress. Hancock looks at this pattern and sees something worth sitting with. Maybe something had been passed down, and these civilizations were simply the ones who carried it forward. What if the survivors of the catastrophe, the people who had carried the knowledge of the civilization that existed before the comet, scattered across the world and brought what they remembered with them? It would explain something that has always quietly troubled archaeologists: the flood myths. Virtually every ancient culture on Earth carries a story of a great catastrophe, a time when the sky fell, the waters rose, and almost everything was destroyed. Over 200 separate flood traditions exist across cultures that had no known contact with each other. The details vary, but the core of the story is always the same: destruction, survival, rebuilding. These are inherited memories, passed from generation to generation across thousands of years, all carrying the echo of the same real moment. And then there is Plato. Writing in ancient Greece, Plato described a lost civilization, Atlantis, that was submerged beneath the ocean in a single catastrophic day and night. He gave a very specific date for this event, around 9,600 BC, which is precisely 11,600 years ago, precisely the moment the Younger Dryas ended, precisely when a massive pulse of meltwater caused sea levels to rise dramatically and rapidly across the globe. Plato was writing about something real. The survivors rebuilt slowly. They passed their astronomical knowledge into the alignments of temples and monuments. They encoded their understanding of the sky into myths and stories. They restarted agriculture. They restarted civilization. They rebuilt from everything they had managed to preserve, from memory, from knowledge carried forward through the darkest possible moment, which is why so much ancient knowledge feels surprisingly advanced, because it was already old when it was written down. It was recovered knowledge, rescued from the edge of total extinction, and the people who fought to keep that knowledge alive, and the scientists fighting today to prove what really happened, share something important in common. Both were told to stop asking questions. When I first started looking into this, I assumed the scientific community had at least taken it seriously, looked at the evidence properly, maybe disagreed, sure, but engaged with it like adults. The truth of it went in a completely different direction. The moment the Comet Research Group started publishing, the attacks started. And I don't mean scientific debate, I mean they went after the people personally. One researcher, a credentialed scientist who had spent years collecting soil samples, was accused of making fake iron spherules in his basement, and then somehow finding the time to secretly travel to dozens of sites across multiple continents and bury them, all without anyone noticing. That was the counter-argument put forward against evidence spanning 4 continents. One researcher, a basement, and apparently remarkable dedication to international travel. Papers kept getting rejected. One paper got turned away by 6 different journals before the team just gave up trying to place it in mainstream publications. Then in 2011, a formal paper was published declaring the whole hypothesis dead. But here's the part that got me. In 2023, the same critics published another one. You don't kill something twice unless it refused to die the first time. So why the fight? Why this hard, for this long, against evidence that keeps holding up? Alan West, one of the lead researchers, former NASA, gave an answer I haven't been able to shake since I heard it. He believes this traces back to a government-level decision made quietly, decades ago, when it became clear that cosmic impacts weren't just prehistoric events, that they had happened recently, that the debris field still exists, that it crosses our path every single year. Someone had to decide what to do with that information. The decision was to keep it quiet, to reassure the public rather than alarm them, because the people making that call believed there was very little anyone could do about it anyway. That single choice rippled outward over decades, into funding decisions, into which research gets published and which gets quietly shelved, into what questions young scientists learn are safe to ask and which ones could cost them their careers. That is simply how institutions tend to protect themselves. The Comet Research Group eventually understood that, so they stopped knocking on doors that kept closing and built something of their own. Their journal, Airbursts and Cratering Impacts, is fully peer-reviewed and completely independent, run on their own terms. Just the evidence, published openly for anyone willing to read it. In the last year alone, it reached readers in over 200 countries. The establishment spent over a decade trying to make this story disappear. It didn't work. If this made you think differently about history, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like, comment, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.